Hi, babe. Want to be with me? I can't rock anymore, huh?
What's going on, everybody? My name is Cruz and welcome back to another video. In this one, I'm going to discuss if I still got it. Can I still rock out? Before we get started, please do all of the things to help this channel grow. Like this video, subscribe and comment below, and be sure to hit the bell icon so you can get an alert every single time I upload a video. Without further ado, let's get started. Okay, before I was rudely interrupted by my beautiful child, just kidding, she's amazing, I was playing through a song that I co-wrote with an old band of mine by the name of Doubledge. The song was called In Your Eyes. This actually was probably one of my favorite songs to play live because it had its challenges. See, there was like this lead part and this, a lot of rhythm stuff that I was doing in the song, and it required a lot of sort of focus and technique and then we're playing live, so the energy is still there. So all of these things were a bit of a challenge for me to pull off, but it was fun. It was a fun challenge for me, so I really enjoyed this song. If you haven't watched my video where I tell the story about Andy Mineo, that's where I started talking about doubledge on this channel, probably for one of the first times ever. And I got some comments on that video about people who were sort of putting two and two together and realized, oh, you're the guy who was in that band. Now, we weren't a super popular band, but I like to think that we were on our way to really doing something special, and so we did gain some notoriety, especially locally in New York City. All of that double-edged talk in that video got me reminiscing not just about the band itself, but the genre of music, rock music. We as Doubledge officially played our last show in November of 2011, so this year, November, will make 10 years, an entire decade since we stopped the band, let alone since we started it. In fact, I don't want you doing too much math because you might figure out that I'm a lot older than some of you may think, but we actually played as a band for 10 years. So that means we started in 2001, ended in 2011, and now it's 2021. That means that 20 years ago, I actually started this band with my friends and thought this would be amazing. At this time, man, rock music was thriving. It was definitely on the up and up, and you were hearing all of these amazing artists come out with amazing music. And we thought, you know what? We love this music. Let's give it a shot. The hardest part about all of that was that we didn't just start a rock band. We started a Christian rock band. That's right. At this point, Christian rock music was still considered the devil's music, and we were getting kicked out of churches left and right. Specifically, being a Hispanic in New York City, being born and raised in Brooklyn, there's a big Pentecostal movement that's out there, and man, it took a long time before our music was accepted. In fact, it wasn't accepted in a lot of different places. I like to think that we were doing something bigger than just being a band, though. I think that having been removed from that situation for nearly a decade now, I really do believe that we were laying down a foundation for the next generation of artists and musicians that were going to come up. Really giving those artists and musicians as a whole a platform to succeed, a platform to be themselves, and not just a place where they could be judged. The problem with church folk is that we're so quick to judge people and to judge movements that we lose sight at what the message is. We oftentimes don't support our own people. In fact, the Bible says it best. It says a prophet is not appreciated in their own home. But with that being said, 2011 came around, and yes, we had a lot of reasons to stop the band, but there was actually one reason that I'm not sure we ever really discussed out loud or publicly to other people, and that was we saw rock music sort of dying. It definitely wasn't as popular as it once was, when we were having a really hard time seeing ourselves survive as a hard rock band in the midst of the music industry as we saw it at that point. And here we are 10 years later, and the industry hasn't really changed much. In fact, what we sort of saw came to fruition. See, rock music is almost dead at this point, or at least rock music as what we knew it to be 10 years ago. So the big question is, can rock music make a comeback? So from what I've gathered and what I've seen, being observant outside looking in, is that it feels like fashion as a whole and everything surrounded by fashion really indicates the direction of everything, let alone music. And we're seeing fashion and music as a whole be recycled. We saw a big 70s and 80s movement, and then we saw an introduction of the 90s movement now, and to the point where like this color schemes and clothes that we're wearing right now, sneakers, everything like top to bottom, the music that we're listening to sounds so 90s right now. But something happened in the late 90s, early 2000s, and that was the introduction of rock music. So is there a place for a massive comeback for some like raw hardcore rock music? I think there is. I'm not sure what it'll sound like. It's exciting to think about what that could sound like and to see how it can possibly creep back into top 40 radio. Let's be honest, something that rock music really hasn't been able to accomplish in a long time. Now, certain bands fall under the category of rock, but realistically, it's not that like in your face rock music, big old amp cranked up to 11. It hasn't been that in a really long time. Now, don't get me wrong, I still get my fix from other places, whether it's digging back through old albums and listening to some of my favorite artists, or even some modern day artists that are out to now. In fact, one of my favorite YouTubers is Rabia Masad, who has an amazing band, whether it's Tosca or the stuff that he does with all these other people, and that stuff is very edgy and very hard. In fact, I like what he does with Tosca because it combines ambient stuff with the edgy hard rock music or the metal music that I loved playing and listening to back in the day. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that I can definitely see it coming back, and I kind of hope that it does. I'm not sure if it's gonna happen. Who am I to say? Regardless, I'm probably too beat up and old for it anyway, and in fact, I don't think my kids will let me play it because clearly she was like, what's that ruckus going on in the studio? Cut that out. Opened up my studio door like she was straight the police. Disrespectful. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comment section what you think about the state of music as a whole, and if you think that rock music is due for a comeback. Also, why don't you tell me who some of your favorite artists were at that time, some of your favorite tracks and songs. I've been in a very nostalgic mood, and I definitely want to listen to some old music, and I think that the old brain is forgetting what some of the good stuff was. So let me know what I should look up on YouTube and Spotify and re-listen to. Be sure to do all the things to help this channel grow, like this video, subscribe and comment below, and hit the bell icon so you get an alert every single time I upload a video. Thanks again for watching, and until next time.